So I welcome you all to the Career Insight session. We have with us today Ankit Satsangi, a hacker and a founder and CTO at AHAD. Ankit has consistently demonstrated exceptional expertise in terms of leadership and innovation in the field of cybersecurity and intelligence. His contribution to the industry is in international advisory roles, in speaking, in terms of engaging the community, has been very exceptional, and this has actually elevated his profile and also contributed exceedingly to the cybersecurity community. Ankit is a global advisory board member of the EC Council. For those that do not know EC Council, the EC Council is actually the body that actually governs the famous Certified Ethical Hacker certification. So he's actually a board member. So the Intelligence ICT recently actually awarded him the Young CIO of the Year. And before then, he's also gotten the award as a CISO 50. So that's the top 50 CISOs in the world in 2019. So in local parlance, I can say he's actually he's a big man, And for the fact that we have a lot of Nigerians in the audience today, going with that mood, I'd like to say welcome to Nigeria, to Ankit. And I'm not sure if I've done justice to the introduction, so I will give Ankit a minute to perhaps introduce himself, and then we can take on the session. I think I should also share my camera so that you get to see me as well. Over to you, Ankit. You can unmute yourself.
Hi, Brian. Am I audible?
Yes, now you're audible. We can hear you loud and clear.
Fantastic.
So I'm going to turn on my camera. If you don't mind, you could also turn on your camera.
I absolutely could, but
okay.
I'm in a space where I have a lot of people.
Oh, that's fine.
Maybe
it's absolutely
it's been a while, Brian.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yes, yes. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, nice to see you as well, man. And I think thank you for that introduction, Ibrahim. You are very, very, very kind with your words. I think I'm still growing. I'm still learning. In the career, cybersecurity is an absolute ocean, and the deeper you go, the more you explore.
That's right.
So
that's right.
I think that is kind of what we're going to be chatting about on today as well. And I'm absolutely honored and thank you for the invitation, Ibrahim. I always make it a point to give it back to the community as much as I can, and that is what I'm trying to do here today as well.
Thank you so much.
I think let's begin.
Yes, we're honored to have you today. I think what I will do is that I'll just make this into 3 sessions, perhaps. The first will be a few questions that I think might benefit the audience. I'll ask a few questions, and then we'll also go down to the audience to ask questions. And perhaps then you can then give us your own insights and your message at the end of it. So my first question actually to you, Ankit, today is that what actually inspired you to go into or to venture into the world of cybersecurity? There are others, of course, there are other areas in IT, right? There's software engineering, there's data science. Everybody's talking about AI and machine learning, multimedia, very, very interesting area. So why cybersecurity for you?
Fantastic question. I get asked this question very often. And the prime reason for me is to choose cybersecurity is because of the kind of power it holds when you are responsible solely to investigate an issue, to be responsible for creating the cyber defense for an organization, for a nation, to be able to find that specific problem or maybe reverse engineer a problem from an incident, so on and so forth, right? I think I remember in college when I was in university, I saw this video of a child being being bullied by his classmates who were slightly bigger in size, right? And he'd get punched every day and bullied every day. And then one fine day, he said, "This is enough," and he punched back. Despite his size, he punched back, and the power that he felt when he punched back is kind of not the best metaphor, but is kind of the power that gives me in terms of the hackers in the world or the black hats in the world to kind of counter against them, right? It is a huge responsibility. The second prime reason was, to be honest, I did not want to do that everything everybody else was doing. I didn't want to become another engineer, not another doctor, not another marketing person, because there are tons and tons and tons of those guys. That I wanted to do something that really makes a difference, and that is going to be the future. And we live in a world today where cybersecurity is never ever going to run out of business. It's only innovation and digital moving forward.
Wow, that's powerful. That's great. Yes, this particular industry, the cybersecurity world, it's filled with thousands of certifications.
Yeah.
Uh, the keys, the key skills and qualities that's actually required. Sometimes you have to validate these skills with certifications. For instance, yourself, I believe you started with A plus and MCP, perhaps in the 20s, right? And in the 2000s, right? I should put it that way. And later on, you went on, CH, CHFI, CCISO, you had your CCNA along the line, and a lot of product proficiency certifications in the kitty. And to mention something as well, I think you passed through the Aptech because now we have a few persons in Aptech Center right now. You also attended Aptech the Institute in Sharjah at some point.
I
That's
did,
the
yeah.
yeah. So from your point of view, really, is there any specific certification, or where do we start? There's a lot of them, right?
So what I think the best way to answer that is to first understand what is my audience today. I see a lot of people, and congratulations, you have an absolute house full. But who is the audience today? Is it graduates? Is it people who work, or is it people who are aspiring to get into cyber?
Exactly. We've got a number of persons who are actually aspiring to become cybersecurity experts. So they're taking their first step with the certified in cybersecurity certification coming from ISC Square. So they're more like enthusiasts about going into this field. So we have graduates amongst them. Of course, it's a diverse audience, but then
Super.
they're actually taking their first step into the industry.
Super. So there's this mixed bag of opinions in the industry, globally for that matter, that says either you have a certification like OSCP, OSCE, and whatnot, and CEH and all of that to be able to land a good job or to get into cybersecurity, which I completely disagree with, because you don't exactly need a certification stamp on your CV to be able to land a job. It entirely boils down to having the right skill set and the curiosity first, right? When I was in college, I remember um, my degree was BSc with IT, right? And my subjects were human to computer interaction, strategic management,
Yeah,
and whatnot. To my
of course. Yeah.
to my to my lack of luck, I didn't have the CCNA labs that they have today, right? So I had to finish college and then do CCNA. And then we didn't learn anything on security, networking, nothing, right? It was just pure technology. So I had to certify myself to be able to prove a point because my basics from college were not met, right? Today, if we have students today in this room, then I am 100% sure that the universities today have come a long, long, long way from the time when we studied, and they are covering the basics of cybersecurity. So I'd say that setting the foundation right from school, which is college, school, etc. And some online free courses should absolutely clear your concepts. Don't run behind certifications because, yes, they are going to give you the skill set and the knowledge, but I can promise you they're not going to pay off in the longer run. Eventually, you'll end up saying to people that, oh yes, well, I do have 19 plus certifications, but guess what? I'm still learning.
Okay. So despite all the certifications you've got yourself,
The reason I took those certifications is
Yeah.
because of pure curiosity, right? And they
Yeah.
weren't
Okay.
free at the time. In today's
Yeah.
world, we have a lot of free courses available from Harvard,
Yeah.
for example, from
Yeah.
Udemy, from Coursera, from LinkedIn. There are tons and tons, which is why I ended up just kind of bagging so many, which wasn't my objective. But if you do, then well, good for you.
All right. That's a good one, actually. I like that. The cybersecurity world, it's rapidly changing, as we all know, right? Now we have Internet of Things. In fact, the impacts of AI and machine learning on, security as well. The bad guys, they get stronger every day with the technologies. As you introduce the technology, some people apply in the good way, and the other guys, apply it in the bad way. So making this threat landscape, an increasing phenomenon on a daily basis. So how do you keep up with this evolution, with this rapid changing?
I think that's one of the most interesting questions that I'm always asked, and I always like answering it because in my books, a security researcher, anybody who's into cybersecurity is more or less a security researcher because you have to keep up with that so much that's going on, right? But how do you divide the balance between your work life, your personal life, and then playing the catch-up game with cybersecurity incidents and threats? In my personal opinion, what really, really works for me, and I would encourage everybody else to adopt to that as well, is out of 100%, it should be 60% work, which is your 96, and the remainder 40% should be research, labs, news, RSS feeds, intelligence, etc. Right? The reason why I also focus so much on intelligence is because I have subscriptions to so many RSS feeds. I do crawl the dark web myself as well from time to time because of the primary reason of I don't want to rely on news feeds that are coming to me when they get those news feeds, right? I want them in real time because
That's right.
I am in the industry which is B2C, which is I'm facing the customer today. I have been the customer, but today I am facing the customer. And if I am facing the customer is banking on me to provide absolutely real-time incidents to them about themselves. So 60-40 is the ratio that I'd say 60% 9 to 6, and the other 40% should be pure research. Because if you're not on top of your game and the next interview that you try and apply for, I promise you that you will be asked questions that are trending. And if you're not able to answer them, you're never even going to get to the stage where you have 20 certifications.
All right. Yeah, that's true, actually. Fortunately, today the session we had today, it's on incident response, right?
Yes.
Incident management and the likes. Uh, do you have any memorable, experience of an incident, or a challenge that you faced? Because you've gone a long way in this career, right? Over a decade in this field. So could you just share one memorable experience with us where you had an incident and how that went down?
I think that, I've got several incidents, but I'll give you one incident where I was the customer and I was responsible. So just for everybody to kind of understand, I used to be a global chief information security officer for one of the largest master developers, real estate property developers in the region. And I was come onto that position for handling about 5,000 employees, 65 billion AED in assets,
Exactly.
17 branches and two banks in Afghanistan. And to my surprise, when I was hired, I was given no budgets to hire a team, which I was not known. So I had to do everything myself: the penetration tests, the strategy, the deployments, the POCs, everything. There came a point where I get a call from the IT department, and obviously I came on board to establish the cybersecurity department. So IT department existed, but not the cybersecurity department. The IT department phones me and goes, Mr. Ankit, we are looking at some incidents. Can you please come over? I go over to IT. And that's when my first question to them, without even then telling me, is why is the internet so slow? And they go, well, we're having an incident. I asked them, what is the incident? They open up the firewall. I think they were using Sonic Wall at the time. They open up the firewall, and you know how every firewall has a threshold meter? The
Yeah,
threshold
exactly.
meter was absolutely red.
Wow.
And I was like, what is happening? And they're like, we have no idea. We are freaking out. We're waiting for you to tell us what's happening. And I'm like, guys, I've been here 2 weeks. I look at the firewall, I look at the traffic. Obviously, there. So when, long story short, when I started identifying, I identified the fact that that specific infrastructure was going through a SYN flood attack, right? Basically, excess of SYN packets just coming through and through. And the firewall did not have a load balancer to balance the load, did not have active passive enabled, and it could not take it, which is why everything just came to a halt, which is disruption of business, which is financial loss, which is so much. That's when I asked the guys to find the endpoint that was causing this traffic. We identified the endpoint. We went down to the 16th floor, unplugged the endpoint, isolated it from the LAN, and the network was back to normal. Now, what happened in this was when I asked them, what were you guys doing? Why were you waiting for me to come and tell you what happened? You're the IT team and you've been here 7 years. They told me we were waiting for Fujisoft, who's our partner, who manages the firewall, to come on board and help us and tell us what's happening. Absolute morons. And that's how. So that was one of these incidents. The other incident was when so ransomware is absolutely trending, right?
Yeah,
And
that's right.
ransomware, I think, is going to
Everywhere.
trend for so many more years as well. It's just
That's
getting
right.
more sophisticated, more
Exactly.
complex. Um, I was investigating one of the largest ransomware, one of the largest entities hit by a very sophisticated ransomware out of Abu Dhabi. And when I came on site, there was no ransomware case. What happened was they asked me to deploy an endpoint detection and response technology, just like an antivirus,
Yeah,
and a
ADR.
much more advanced version of an antivirus. Well, I'm going into
That's right.
details because I'm assuming not everybody in the audience may be aware of
That's
the
right. Yeah, that's
terminology. Yeah.
absolutely fine. Yes.
Yeah. Um, I was deploying that, and when I started configuring the platform, they said, Ankit, just deploy it and leave it. We don't need no configurations because we are a huge environment. And if we get into configurations, then this will take a lot of time. We don't have so much time. We want to get on with our daily business. So, okay, fair enough. Here's your risk acceptance document. And this is something that I've learned over my career. When somebody does not let you do something in cybersecurity that needs to be done, but they're not letting you do it, draft a risk acceptance document, present it to them, and make them sign it. Because
Yeah.
from that point onwards, you're not the owner of the risk, they are, because they didn't let you do it, right? And I presented them with the risk acceptance document, and they just signed it because they had never heard of it. They didn't read what it mentioned. They signed it and they gave it back to me, and I was like, okay, cool, no problem. Deployed it in about a day, left. I get a call after 2 days. They're like, Ankit, what have you done? I don't think you've deployed the systems correctly. Can you come over immediately? I wake up, I take my car down to Abu Dhabi, 2 hours drive, go onto the environment, and find out that they've been hit by Sudonokibi ransomware, which was trending, I think, 4 or 5 years ago. And they're like, what have you done? They're just kind of pointing the fingers at me. And
Of
that's when
course.
I
I
opened my
mean,
bag and I presented them the document. I'm like, do you remember this document that you signed? They're like, yes.
goodness.
I'm like, read the document now because you didn't read it then. When they read it, it said that we accept all the risk and all the challenges that this specific platform would possess
Mhm.
as per Ankit's delegation and whatever the document was constructed.
Exactly. Yeah.
What ended up happening was those guys did not have their regular backups, and the backups that they had were also in the production environment.
Wow.
The best practice to maintain backup is to take it periodically, keep it
That's right.
offline,
That's
and
right.
keep it off site, right? And this company that I'm talking about is functioning in the business of steel manufacturing. So you probably know who I'm referring to. And their OT got infected as well.
Goodness. Goodness.
So that's when I was called and given the contract immediately for incident response and then proper remediation. So my team recovered in about 2.5 days, recovered from the ransomware infection, but did not recover any of the files because there was nothing to recover from because they didn't have the backups.
That's
Right?
right. Yeah.
So these are some of the incidents. I think the third incident, just in the interest of time, was a client calling me for urgent assistance. I go on site, look at their network traffic, look at their bandwidth, everything is just capped, right? And their electricity bills are just hiked. It is unreal. Eventually, after I think a day, 1.5 days investigation, we find out that their CCTVs were being used to mine Bitcoin currencies. Right? And that is another
Goodness.
unique case, which was which I
Goodness.
had the opportunity to deal with. Yeah,
Goodness.
I've got several such cases.
Wow. Wow. I mean, to put that in perspective, you talked about, managing and protecting an asset worth 65 billion dirhams. If you put that in naira, that's about 16 trillion naira, actually. And that's a huge, huge. And for the second incident that you did mention, I don't think all of that can happen in 2 days. I'm sure the attack, actor must have been in the environment for
Oh,
perhaps
absolutely.
months, for months or
Absolutely. The
days
whole the
before the
whole
incident.
reason why they just randomly asked for an EDR
EDR,
should
yes.
explain that some bells and whistles went off somewhere,
Hmm.
right?
Interesting.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
they must have been in the network for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
y-
those are some experiences.
Thank you for that. That's very
Of course.
enriching, actually. Um, while you were at Credence, I could perhaps I'm able to scavenge some information. Okay, you hacked, the largest chain of hotels in the world, and you hacked, the biggest, hotel in the Gulf region. Could you share how did that happen? I mean, what's the experience like?
The hotel industry, I'm not going to mention which hotel, but this hotel
Of
was in
course, you
Abu
don't have to.
Dhabi.
Yes, yes.
And this hotel was in Abu Dhabi. International.
I think. Oh, I
Sorry,
lost
sorry,
your
my
voice.
bad.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Sorry,
Okay,
my
sorry,
bad. I
yeah.
was cleaning off the dust and I may have hit the mute button.
Okay, all right.
Um, this is an international chain of hotels. We were supposed to go to Abu Dhabi for a meeting to present a product, a technology, right? And while I've worked in technologies throughout my life, throughout my career, I'm not very fond of just sticking to that. I'm very fond of doing a lot of manual work, getting in there, getting your hands dirty, and all of that. So I decided to have some fun. At that point, when I was reporting to my manager, I told my manager I'm going to go in 30 minutes early because I'll be in Abu Dhabi for some work prior to the meeting. And he said, okay. Well, that wasn't the case. What I decided to do was a little bit of social engineering and have some fun. Right. So I go up to the hotel. I'm sitting by the lobby. I'm connected to their guest Wi-Fi network. And obviously I have the internet. And I'm doing some OSINT to find out who the director is who I'm meeting, how long he's been with the company, what his jobs and responsibilities are, and everything else that I can find. When I had my data in about 10 to 12 minutes, I made myself go to the reception and I'm like, listen, I'm a new joiner. I have a meeting with Mr. So and so. My ID is gone for making. As you know, the HR is horrible in this process. But if I am not let in to this meeting, then it's going to be very, very critical for everybody involved. And she said, which company are you from? I said, I don't think you heard me. I have joined your hotel at this position and I'm meeting your director. And I kind of raised my voice and she panicked and she just let me in without making a physical entry or taking my Emirates ID. That was bypassing physical security.
Right.
I went to the washroom, washed my face, came back with a little bit of sweat, which was really water. He went back to the reception and again created a panicked situation and told her that, can you get me on the Wi-Fi immediately? My meeting's in the next 12 minutes. I need to send this presentation to the director before he comes into the meeting room. She got me onto the Wi-Fi. So now two things have happened. I've bypassed your physical security. You don't have a record of who I am because you didn't take any records. And number three, I've bypassed your guest Wi-Fi and you've just given me access to your corporate network, right? So your captive portal, everything is all gone down the drain. And now I'm sitting there with two phones on me. One is my office phone, of course, and the other was an Android phone that was running a lot of net hunters, Kali, this and that. And there comes the IT director and my manager comes in as well. We shake hands and he's like, "Oh, you're early. How did they let you in?" And I'm like, "Never mind." We sat down, we started chatting. And that's when I stop my manager and I go to the IT director and I go like, "Mr. XYZ, whatever phone that you're using, I'm going to hack it in the next 60 seconds, within 60 seconds, if you want to count it." And he said, "Why are you doing this?" And I said, "I have my reasons. I will tell you my reasons right after I do this." When his reply to what I said was, "Ankit, I don't think you will be able to." Now, in my assumption, in my head, I'm thinking, well, this is the largest chain of hotels in the world. I probably won't be able to. But then he gave me the reason himself. The reason for not being able to is because, Ankit, because I use an iPhone. And I was like, okay, that's a good enough reason to pursue this. I asked him to go to LinkedIn on his browser, not the application. I asked him to log in. And the minute he logged in, I intercepted that entire traffic, had a copy of all of it on my phone, asked him to stop, showed him his LinkedIn, showed him his password. He jumped off his seat. He started raising his voice a little bit, saying, "What the hell are you doing? Why are you guys here? How is this ethical?" So many things. And then I asked him to calm down, sit down. We're not here for damage. You remember you called us in for a meeting. This is a mere demo of the fact that you've just spent millions and millions of dollars on hiring physical personnel, physical security, your Aruba APs, your ClearPass authentications and whatnot. And I've just bypassed everything by doing absolutely nothing. And the reason I'm here is because I could do all of this and I could show you so that somebody else doesn't end up doing this. The approach I took was obviously very, very offensive, which, if you personally ask me, I don't think I would want to try that again because it can very well backfire. Very, very, very well backfire. But it was a super, super impactful meeting. And I think a month later, we closed that client after the POC and all of that.
Wow, that's
So
powerful, actually. Interesting.
that was
So
an
it shows, I mean,
exhilarating
the
experience.
lesson from there is also that, consent is very important. Even if you want to actually hack, you have to get the consent of the customer or whoever
Absolutely.
you want to actually, hack.
Absolutely.
That's interesting. I think that will be all from my end, and we will actually have our participants to ask questions. And
Let's
by the
open
way,
for
I'd
questions.
like to congratulate you, right? We haven't done that before now. Just about 4 years into owning your own business and managing your own entities, you've actually won
Thank you, Brian.
the
Appreciate it.
Entrepreneurship World Cup in 2020. Congratulations for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you,
Yeah,
Brian.
so now we'll go to the audience. If you have questions, please, you can raise your hand and we'll allow you speak. You can ask your question and Ankit will be able to respond to it. So
I'm
those
open
in
to any
house and
sort of
those online.
I'm open to
Yeah.
any kind of questions, so feel free.
All right. So let's see. Yeah, please raise up your hand if you have any question. And you can unmute. Yeah, if there are questions coming in from from those in person. Thank you. I guess you've provided a lot of information that they do not have questions.
I don't look, guys. I had no intention of either confusing you or freaking you guys out. So feel free on whatever concerns you have. I think one person has his hand up. Sorry, Brad,
Hello,
you're
good
muted.
morning, sir.
Morning. Morning.
Hello,
How are you?
good morning, sir.
Morning.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir, for that insightful exposition. And I want to absolutely appreciate the fact that you give us the privilege to learn on this platform of cybersecurity. Actually, I have been trying to do a personal research on cybersecurity. And many of us who decided to break into this field of technology, we're actually doing so just to kind of get a job and to actually put our skills into practices. But also, I also make a personal research about job availability in the field of cybersecurity. But most of the time, when I see any advertisement about a boot camp on cybersecurity, they tell us that regardless of our background, wherever you are coming from, you don't need any IT background before you can be a cybersecurity expert. But most of the time, when I see a job posting and I look at the requirements, I do see requirements like you must have probably a bachelor's degree or a first degree in information technology or any field of security. And for many of us, for me as an example, I come from a non-IT background. So what is my place? Would I be able to get a job in cybersecurity if I decide to delve into this field? Because I don't have anything that has to do with, I studied pharmacy as an undergraduate. So what is my place in cybersecurity? Would I be able to get a job? Because most of the requirements is based on IT, prior IT experience. That is my question, sir.
So thank you for that question. Brilliant question, first of all, and a real problem in the industry as well. Let me start my answer with a very quick example. Have I'm sure everybody on this Teams meeting has heard of the company called 20th Century Fox. Ibrahim, I think you have as well. The guys who
Oh,
make the
yes, of course.
movies,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Yeah, movies. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
20th Century Fox. Do you know the CISO of 20th Century Fox? It's a lady. That lady's previous experience to being the CISO of 20th Century Fox was an English teacher, right? No IT background, no cybersecurity background, no technology background for that matter. She was an English teacher, right? So cybersecurity really starts first with the mindset. It does not start with the certifications. It does not start with your skill set. It starts with your mindset is stage one, which is why do you really want to get into it, right? And then identify what part of it do you want to get into? How curious are you? Once you've identified that, then you come down to the attitude on how you perceive information that you're looking at or learning online, right? Now, all of this has nothing to do with your prior experience. If I was the interviewer and if I have to interview you, obviously I'm going to mention that, look, I need 5 years experience, I need CISSP, CCSP, etc., etc., etc. And then I'm going to hire you for a position that doesn't exactly require all of those skill sets, but I require those certifications for absolutely no reason. Now, to that, I would say this is how the industry is, unfortunately. There are a lot of people that are trying to change this because there are so many memes that you may have come around as well, which is you've just finished college, but you need 5 years of experience to be able to land another job, your first job for that matter, right? Which is a real problem. But I would say, and I would highly encourage everybody to apply for any and every position that you think you would justify to, despite not having the experience or the certifications, because if you don't take that risk of applying for that position, then that is the biggest risk that you're taking by not applying for it, because you never know if you've landed it or not, right? So I'd say don't worry about the experience. Do your due diligence, do your homework, and apply for any position that you want. And when you get it through, then learn how to do it. Simple as that. I hope I've answered your question.
Thank you so much. Yes,
Yes,
you
sir.
did, actually.
Thank
Yeah.
you, sir.
And I think you can also take advantage of volunteering and internship, if you can find one, those are also ways to get in experience.
Absolutely. We just completed in our company, I think the second or the third batch of interns, and one of them landed a job with a leading, Paramount Computers, if you know, Ibrahim, and a couple others as well. So when we train, this is what we try to accomplish, which is have that person gain the right attitude, the right mindset, and the right skill sets when they leave, and give them a little bit of taste of the corporate world by throwing in a little bit of political situations, a little bit of tricky situations, have them lead the meetings. Because now what I'm doing is I'm applying the offensive technique of not teaching you how to swim, but throwing you in the deep water and asking you to flap your hands to come up.
Exactly.
Right. And to be honest, as aggressive as it is, that approach really, really, really works.
Works, yeah.
So as I think applying for internships is a very, very critical thing as well. You should do your due diligence on the company that you're applying the internship for as well. Because I know a lot of interns one of the interns left my company as well to go on to another company for an internship, who was paying them 2,000 dirhams more and promising them the security operations center and whatnot and this and that. And a month and a half later, she's come back saying, can I join again? Because I'm not exactly liking it here. So I think doing your due diligence and doing a little bit of open source intelligence and finding out who these people are, what their track record is, how much does the industry know about them, how much have they contributed to the industry, goes a long way than just applying randomly for an internship.
Yeah, that's right. That's very correct. So do we have another question in the room?
Okay, good day, everyone.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I'm in the Shogo Center. I want to appreciate Mr. for the example you cited the other time. Yesterday, I think we had the first part of incident response, if I'm correct, and then we talked about accepting risk as part of the processes. And then he mentioned that when he was in, I think, UAE or so, that he had to make the management to sign incident response document. Acceptance response, risk acceptance document. Yeah. So I think that actually brought home the idea. Yeah. So thank you for that. I actually wanted to ask the question that I just answered now. So thank you for this session.
Thank you indeed. Thank you for coming.
No, absolutely, absolutely. If there are any other questions, we're open to it.
Yeah, I guess we do not have more questions, and we have just 7 minutes left. So perhaps could you just give us a message? I mean, to this interesting folks who are looking into, becoming a cybersecurity expert, from your experience, please.
I think my one of the key advices. So there's this thing where I'm super concerned on how a person chooses cybersecurity and why they choose it, and those reasons are absolutely important for them to be successful, right? And for me, I think one of the things is one of the questions that I get asked a lot is, I am into cyber, I have these certifications, but what do I specialize in, right? And that's a very important question, because when you get into cybersecurity, let's say if you start with CompTIA Security Plus, right, which is the absolute basics, right? Now that you've completed Security Plus, and Security Plus has taught you a little bit of governance, a little bit of compliance, a little bit of PT, VA, and all of that, now you're all confused sitting there, scratching your head and be like, wait, what do I specialize in, right? My advice would be to try every single domain if you have the opportunity to. If you're working for a client, ask for as much diverse cybersecurity work as you can. Because what ended up working for me is, when I was a CISO, I could not have deployed vast amount of solutions if I didn't have the pre-sales experience when I started my career. Number one. Number two, when I was pre-sales, before that, I had already completed my CEH when I was in college. So I already had the penetration testing and being a hacker experience. So that's when I started doing the penetration tests for the organization where I was the CISO. So I didn't have to hire anybody. So I was more or less like a Swiss knife myself. And this got me realizing then because when I thought to myself that, wait a second, I'm POCing I'm evaluating technologies myself, I'm deploying them myself, and then I'm doing the penetration tests and the vulnerability assessments also myself. Why can I do this? The only reason was because I've got my hands dirty in a little bit of everything. Right? Nobody says don't specialize, absolutely specialize, but the only way you'll know truly what to specialize in is once you've got a taste of every single domain. It's digital forensics, it's incident response, it's data science, it's AI, it's PT, it's system analytics, it's big data. There are so many things, right? So read up on everything, do some labs, find out if you want to go.
Yeah, I think we lost Ankit there. I'm not sure if he's gonna make it back. But I think it's been a very insightful session. Okay, do we? Okay, we have you back. Yes, welcome back. We lost you for a moment.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what happened to my laptop. It just conked off.
So sorry.
So I think what I was really trying to say was get your hands dirty with every single domain that you can, a little bit of labs, a little bit of study, a little bit of certifications, and then decide what you really want to do. Because you can't be a security operations center L1 analyst and say that you want to do digital forensics. Because the digital forensics is really the part where you get to when you become an L3, right? And then you say that you want to pursue your career in digital forensics. So it doesn't really work, in my opinion. It doesn't work that way. Get your hands dirty as much as you can, because I promise you it is absolutely going to help you in your career. I never thought when I graduated that I'd be heading the one of the largest developers in an organization later in my career. And then I never thought to myself that I would have ended up being the founder of a cybersecurity and intelligence company, right? Which is why I say you don't know where you're going to end up. So
Yeah.
grasp as much information as you can, and that will really clear your head.
Thank you so much. That's a very powerful message. Really appreciate your time today, Ankit. And
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
thank you so much for honoring us. Yes.
Ibrahim, also, if you are completely okay with this, and if the folks have any other questions, maybe you can drop them my email address. I'm open
Sure,
to
definitely.
receiving and
Definitely.
maybe answering any and every questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Really appreciate
Cheers,
that.
guys. Appreciate the
Enjoy
time.
the
You've
rest
been a
of the
lovely
day.
audience. Thank you,
Yeah.
Ibrahim. We'll
Thank
chat
you. And goodbye.
Bye bye.
All right. I think that's our session today with respect to the career insights. I hope you all enjoyed the session. And if you've got questions, as Ankit said, please do forward it, and then we'll get it to him for his response. Yeah, I think we can call it a day today. Thank you and goodbye.